Welcome to the London Hour. It's not in London, it's not an hour, but I'm here to share thoughts, commentary, and opinions with you about tabletop role-playing games and your other favorite forms of entertainment. Good morning, hope you're all doing well. I'm still setting up, don't tell anyone though. Today I was inspired to just kind of, I don't want to say I'm just gonna rant and ramble, because I'm gonna do more than that, but like, I don't know. I've been having thoughts, and I've been wanting to put those thoughts down on pen, paper, tablet, I guess, somewhere. So anyhow, I'm still setting up all my chat integration and all that stuff. So we're getting there, though. We're getting there. It's coming along. We'll start the day off with a cheeky little one of these. Make sure we're being mindful. Excited about this topic. Good, because I did not vet it with anybody. I was like, this is coming straight from my brain, and I hope somebody's interested. I think I think you'll find, as we go through this topic, that it's going to go a lot deeper than any of my thumbnail or stream description indicated. It's a very hard concept to capture in my promotional materials to see if I can even articulate this. I don't think I succeeded at all, like not even close, and that's okay. But I think it's going to be fascinating because of what I'm really going to do today. So here's your preview of the stream for the day. I'm going to take a look at London Station as a jumping off point, and we're going to talk about every platform that I utilize and that it takes to run this thing. And considering, you know, I didn't like research like what company owns that company that owns that company, not to that level, but like who's profiting from the interactions? Who's profiting from the, you know, the percentage that is made on the back end from tips? Is that percentage indicative of the support that's received or the service that's provided by being a facilitator of the transfer of goods, or, you know, goods and services? I guess it would be services in the case of a London Station. And then we're gonna just spin off from there and talk about, you know, how has, you know, our modern humanity, I guess, developed technology in ways that accelerate or confound things. How beholden are we to the biggest voices in the room that buy up all the small innovators, sometimes just to shut them down and you basically purchase the elimination of competition. So yeah, we're going to talk about YouTube, we're going to talk about Discord, we're going to talk about Patreon and Stream Elements and whatever else I use. We're gonna figure it out together, and we're gonna do it on the whiteboard today. So that'll be fun. And then I want to talk about like what does it take to create community in the modern era with those tools? What would it look like to create community with tools that we might imagine for ourselves? You know, and Deep Priest, speaking of you being in chat here, I know you recommended me recently a book about community, and I had the urge to do this topic, and I was like, well, maybe I should get that book and read it first. And I was like, why? So I could do this stream in 6 months? No, I'll do it right now. So that's why we're here. Yes, indeed. What else do I need to say as a preamble to that? Probably nothing. Probably nothing. Maybe, you know, as far as you being excited about this topic, it might just be you and me chatting. So that's all right. That's all right. I have so much stuff everywhere now, though. I gotta figure out where to put. Oh, you know, just girl problems. Now I have nail polish everywhere, which is where I usually set my keyboard when I'm gonna use my tablet. Second stream on community. Could be. Could happen. Alright, let me get this USB cable plugged into this device, and then it's gonna give me 2 UAC warnings, because it always does. There's one. Ooh, where's the other one? No, wait, there we go. And there we go. Okay. Now we're allowed to proceed. Okay. Oh, man. I just could not be motivated to stop hitting the snooze this morning, if I'm honest. I didn't sleep well last night. Did not sleep well last night, but that's okay. Here we go. I have nothing prepared. Absolutely nothing. Let's see. I'll pull this up on the screen. Window capture. There you go. What did we talk about last time on here? Oh, death. Yeah. The death stream. I gotta revisit this, my little triangle idea. I liked that triangle idea. Okay. Anyhow, Somewhere here it says reset, but I'm going to make sure I export this first. There we go. And reset the canvas. Okay. The other thing I want to do is I'm trying to be better about not having silent streams, so I'll get some music playing in the background. Also, possible complication is I just got a sudden spike in like right back here that indicates that I might be coming up on a gnarly little headache. And if it decides to be a problem, we will evaluate it from there. So hopefully it does not. I ate food and everything. I drank water this morning. You know, I did good self-care things. I should be fine. All right. Okay. Hopefully the music is all right relative to what we're doing. It's just to keep the energy flowing. Okay, so where to begin? Why did I take on such a difficult topic? Okay, let's talk about London Station and learn how to write such that people at home can read it. London Station. What are we? We are a community-focused coalition of friends, creatives, thinkers, and explorers. We celebrate, examine, and seek meaning from tabletop role-playing games and other adjacent hobbies. If you favor earnest roleplay, good-natured discussion, or pondering the stars, this might be the crew for you. Welcome to London Station. Let's make new discoveries together. That's the long marketing pitch. And so what we are is we are a community. In fact, what did I say in there? A community-focused coalition. And some of this is poetic license, right? Like, did I need to use the word coalition? No. But it sounded good. And it needed to sound good when I said it out loud. So here we are. And then we spin off into specific topics, as we know. RPGs, gaming, topical discussions. And I've discussed this before, but if people are interested in knowing all about this, that's Discovery Corps. That's London Station Simulator. And this is the London Hour. So I have these sub-brands as far as the product that we're creating here together. Now, what tools do I use to facilitate this? Of course, big one in the room that you are currently using right now. It's so beautiful. YouTube. What does YouTube do for me? What does YouTube do for us? YouTube does not help me make the videos. YouTube does not help me come up with the ideas, even though it has an AI tool that wants to suggest content ideas to me. So what does it do? It is a platform, which is the big word for the day. It is a hosting platform. But that's not all it is. So I make the content, and it holds the content somewhere that is accessible to everybody else. We'll put all in quotes. And furthermore, within its own, platform. So it has its platform, and you can go and look for things. And we're talking about old internet now, where you guys would need to know, youtube.com/@the-London-Station. And you would need to go there, and then you would see videos, and you'd watch that video, and that video, and that video. It's a dumb hosting platform. This is just going to be funny to look back on later. And, platforms have gotten smarter, let's say, and I'll also put that in quotes, to the point where now they can serve you up a feed, an algorithm. They can handle some of your, marketing, kind of. Not really. You don't want to count on this because you don't have control over the feed or the algorithm. And you don't know how it's serving your videos or content to anybody else, or if it even is. In fact, there's absolutely nothing anywhere that really tells you how it's serving things up. What you can do is you can go into the back end. And so analytics, I think, is actually... this is actually, like a perk. They're providing data and analytics to their users. And when I say users of YouTube, I mean content creators themselves. Even though that word is, whatever, content creators. It's fine, I create content. So analytics. So you can use that to feed back into your business. So this is a perk for your business. Now here's where things get interesting. Like many platforms going back to print newspaper or anywhere else, how does YouTube monetize? Or another way to put that is, look what I'm getting. This is what London gets. I get all this. Now, thanks to your guys' support on Patreon, I can afford my YouTube account. Right? That's how that works, right? I've got to pay them for this, right? And the answer is no, I don't. It's actually free. That was a joke. Your support comes directly to me. Well, we'll get to that later. I don't pay for this. And so here's something that I've seen. Is people will get worked up and upset about platforms taking a cut. Now let's imagine a future where London Station is at 500 subscribers. Once I hit 500, I unlock a couple things. Some of them I don't care about. One of them is super chats. Now, do I need super chats? No, I have tip workflow going through Stream Elements. So really, it's just another method of tipping. A different person gets a cut of it. It's just integrated more seamlessly into the experience that you're already here for. So you don't have to go to a link. Speaking of which, if you don't know, well, you guys know. You all know. Anyway, but you might not know that there's a command. So if anybody else is ever in chat and they don't know, you can do this just like everybody else has their setup. Point being, I don't need these super chats, but that's something that I can unlock at 500, and then YouTube is going to get a cut of that. So YouTube gets some, and I get some, and probably some other number of entities in the middle that are partnered with YouTube, like their payment processor, their credit card payment processor is going to get a cut, and etc. There's a lot of players in the mix here, and this is what it looks like to bring goods to the marketplace, goods and services to the marketplace. When you buy something from Walmart, like this energy drink, if I buy this energy drink from Walmart for $2.68, we know and we understand that Walmart's getting some of that money. We know that who owns Monster? Pepsi? I don't know. Whatever. They're getting some of the money. They're budgeting it internally, however they do it. But then you have distributors who are getting money. So that's the model of hard goods. So we understand that there's going to be this happening. And what I see sometimes in this discourse is when people are talking about platforms and they're talking about, bear with me as I remember how my hotkeys work. They're like, oh my God, they take such a big cut. And maybe they do. But here's the question. Can you, yourself, do this? Can you operate as a hosting platform? Can you make it accessible to everybody? Will people know where it is, know what it looks for, what it looks like, know where to find it? Is there a marketable phrase like I watched it on YouTube? So other people through word of mouth can know to come there for it? Can you provide your own analytics? I could probably provide my own. Actually, no, I couldn't. I was going to joke and be like, we're small enough, I could do my own analytics. I'm like, no, I couldn't. I couldn't tell you where links clicked into from and what their view retention was. I couldn't do any of that stuff. So, can you hypothetically The answer to that is different. And the answer to that, I think, is yes, down the road, in the future, as our tools and our technologies improve, I believe that we'll get to a point where you can essentially self-host a lot of the functionality that you're seeing that is currently hosted by these corporations. And we're talking way down the road. I'm not talking 10 years, I'm not talking 20 years, I'm talking 100 years, where maybe we've also reevaluated our assumptions about how, commerce needs to happen and meritocratic status societies and everything like that. So when people say, oh, they take such a big cut. Now, this can still be an important and relevant comment, but this is relative to other platforms. And why does that matter? That matters because of a little thing called capitalism, which is supposed to push towards virtuous incentives. However, I think at a certain point, the system becomes so large that the scaffolding holding it up is no longer load-bearing. And I think that's one of the troubles that we're seeing in broad swaths of things. I know, I'm not an economist. Okay? I'm not anything. I just sit here and I think thoughts, and I put them on a whiteboard for the internet. But the point is, I do think that capitalism has its time where, at a certain point in humanity's tech tree, let's say, it is effective at the goals that it has, and it will always leave marginalized groups off to the side. So there's no getting around that. But it can be effective in that time, and then once humanity reaches a certain level of productivity, like we know over and over and over again, and I've been complaining about this since high school. I'm like, if we're getting so much better at production and distribution and all of these things that we're doing as humans, like now we're, oh gosh, this stream is going to be so wild to listen back to. If we're getting so much better at all of these things, the question is the population outgrowing our improvement, or is our improvement outgrowing the population? And so even when I was in high school, I was like, so wait, we're all going to continue to do 40-hour work weeks? Like, that's a small microcosm, privileged, North American, oh, I have a 40-hour work week job, and I'm not like making bricks with my hands in the mud in some other country. So I understand the distinction there. But even then I was like, huh, wait, what? Like in RPGs, you level up and then you don't have to do the things you used to do. You take on higher and bigger challenges. So are we leveling up? That'd be a good stream title. This is why I try to support all platforms like Nebula and Beacon, even if I don't watch much, just to support non-YouTube. We're going to talk about it. That's the kind of stuff this stream's all about today. Speaking as someone who loves self-hosting, it can have expensive upfront and ongoing costs, hardware, server rental, etc. And then there is the unpaid labor where it becomes your life. Yeah. All of that and everything that you mentioned is also a product or a vendor who has their own little map of where the money goes. And it goes to their distribution, and it goes to their R&D departments, and it goes to their bottom line. So unless we're out here Tony Starking our way through the world and making our own arc reactors in our garage, which even he has to buy materials, you're never going to reach a point where you're doing this all on your own. The question is, are we building and supporting systems that build and support us? And we've only gotten into YouTube so far, and I'm not even necessarily done. Are we building systems that build and support us? Now here's an interesting topic. What is London Station? What even is it? Is it an end user of all these platforms? We've only listed one so far, YouTube. We've got a lot more partners that London Station partners with. If you want to call it that, I think that'd be appropriate. London Station partners with YouTube. London Station partners with Discord. London Station partners with Patreon. Now, it could be easy to say, I don't want to say I partner with them. I don't want to be beholden to the decisions they're making. Oh, you don't? Do we have alternatives out there? Are we building alternatives out there? I'll tell you what, there's a YouTuber I know. And sadly, I was in his community for a long time. And suddenly, like, he was, I don't know, he was in a mood, and he kind of snapped at me in chat once, and I was just like, fuck this guy. And I've never forgotten that hurt, which was a lesson to me, is that hurts that come in relationships of any kind, whether it's, you know, the people close to you, your friends, or if it's me and somebody in a chat who's having some sort of relationship with me. I'm not talking parasocial. I just mean we have a back and forth. We communicate with each other. We exist in space together. And so we have a relationship. Those things can hurt so badly. But this creator, and I've talked about this before, this creator was very big on dual streaming to multiple platforms, dual or triple streaming or whatever, and also refusing to sign contracts. So he would stream to YouTube and Twitch at the same time, and then people would be like, why can't I give you Twitch subs? And he'd be like, because I won't sign their contract. He's like, yeah, you get to affiliate, you get to whatever, and I read the contract and I didn't like their terms. And also they're owned by Amazon, and I don't like what they did to their unions in the last month. So he's like, so I'm not going to sign their contract. I'll use their platform at its free basis because that's convenient for some of my users, but I'm not going to sign their contract, and I'm not going to monetize through them. And he said, as if you keep your platform base distributed across multiple companies and multiple businesses, when one of them fails and drops the ball, you can eliminate them and keep going. And we're going to talk about that today. Let's say that Blue Sky does something extremely heinous. Not all my community is on Blue Sky, but it does have the added benefit, which we'll write down in a minute, of offering reach and marketing and all of these different things. If Blue Sky shits the bed, can I keep everything else about London Station intact and just pivot where I'm doing my little social media pushes? Yes, because I'm not recreating the whole thing from scratch, because I've diversified, because we have a low trust environment with our platforms, which is something I need to write down because we're going to return to that. And it goes both ways, by the way. The only thing is they have the wealth, money, and power, and they don't need creators as much. So even though they have low trust coming down to their creators, we have low trust coming back up to them. They can afford to just be like, whatever, you're just one person. It's not a problem. I love the term partnering because you are assuming a position of power in the relationship, even with a huge corporation. Yeah, well, partnering comes with intentionality. And, you know, we're going to talk about, when we get to Discord, we're going to talk about Nitro. Because I had to make a decision recently about Nitro. What did I say? Partnering comes with, intentionality. You know, it's like, oh, well, I have to be on YouTube. It's like, no, you do not. That's a lie. You might have to be on YouTube for the results that you've set up for yourself, the goals you've set for yourself. If you put out your if I had a 5-year mission, vision, values for London Station, which I should by now, somewhere rattling around in my head, but I should put it down to paper. You know, you would be able to make your partnering decisions, weighing the pros and cons of their business conduct against what they provide you and how much it costs, and making sure that you have a equitable, possibly is the right word, an equitable relationship with them. The other thing I didn't mention down here about, I get these services from YouTube, and I have to pay for it, right? And the answer is no, I don't have to pay for it. YouTube literally, this is, okay. Have you guys ever seen an ad on London Station? I don't even get to run ads until I'm at 500 subscribers. I don't necessarily want to run ads, but I don't even get to do it, which is wild to me because that's how they make their money, right? YouTube makes their money by selling access to their consumers as a product. I don't know if you've all heard this before. If you are not paying for a service, you are the product. That's true of almost every single social media platform out there. They create the space that serves a need, and then to fund that space, they turn to tried and true, going all the way back to newspapers and before, of marketing. Because in our capitalistic system, it is worth companies spending money to get eyes on their product and not somebody else's, because that will inform the purchasing decisions that they make. Which means that when you buy this can of Monster, a portion of the money that I spent on this can of Monster goes into their marketing budget to make sure that their product still stays in front of everybody else's eyes. When I buy this can for $2.68, maybe a penny goes to some extreme sports sponsorship, like a paintball team. You know, I don't I just would like to purchase the beverage. Can we do a business model where I just purchase the beverage? And they're like, no. Well, yes, they could. And then they would die in the marketplace, and somebody else who is actively marketing and making sure they get eyes on their product is going to win. Because it's a zero-sum game with capitalism. There's a finite amount of disposable income out there for people to spend, and you need to capture it. Okay, we're all over the place, which I expected, but I hope there's enough of a through line that you're all still with me. Are you all hanging in there? One of these days, it would be nice to go and get my MBA. But it's just kind of not in the cards right now. I've said before, too, if I could have one dream job right now, it would be to be a business consultant. And I'm not trying to elevate that any of this is intelligent or good high-level thought, but I just enjoy it. I enjoy disassembling the puzzle and asking the questions. So, YouTube. They make their money by running ads, largely. They can take a cut of super chats, as a part of it. And you're like, well, dang, you're already making money off my ads at this point. Why are you taking a cut of my super chats? Again, remember, they have to pay their credit card processor. They have to pay, whatever. They got to pay taxes probably on the money that flows through. I don't know. I don't have to know. All I know is that there are services, and then when people are like, oh my God, they're taking such a huge cut, it's like, well, maybe it's all actually decently spread out across the services they have to provide. And then you go again and you say, okay, relative to other platforms, this could be relevant because now let's pivot. I wish Excalibur had more colors. What's the Twitch logo look like? I don't even know. Now you have Twitch in the mix, and they have a logo, and it goes in a box like this, and I can't for the life of me picture it, which is a bad sign for their marketing. What does Twitch do to disrupt the stranglehold that YouTube has on video content? Well, partly they don't play in the same space. Twitch is focused on live, and we're not going to linger too long on Twitch because I don't use it. They're focused on live, they're focused on interaction. They're focused on discoverability in ways that YouTube is not. So they have tools. They have it in Twitch is actually, if you want to know how to capture somebody's attention, go study Twitch for a little bit. You want to know how to get attention for your business or your thing that you're trying to do, go look at Twitch. Everything about it is engineered to keep you right where you are and watching. And here's the thing. A lot of those tools are irrespective of what the creator you're watching is even doing. Because the little treasure chest icon pops up at the bottom. Because if you're an active viewer and you're still actively there, and then you see that and you come and you click on the little thing, you get bonus channel points. Ooh. Now, if you're just there lurking, you will continue to accumulate channel points, but you won't get as many. And why do you need channel points? Because channel points give you interaction with your streamer, I say, intentionally. They give you tools and things to play with, and they make it an interactive experience. Now, the creator has to build their custom interactivity suite. So you click this, and then a GIF pops up of a dancing... who was it? I don't remember whose stream I was on the other day. But, like a dancing rap popped up and played a little song. And then the streamer gets to react to the thing that you spent the thing to do the thing, and then... now there's interactivity happening. If I had that as an option right now, somebody could do a thing in my YouTube chat right now, and I'd be like, oh, thank you for the whatever points. And I'm like, I don't get anything for that. Those are made up. What's the whose line is it thing? The points are made up, and winning doesn't matter. Everything's made up, and the points don't matter. That's what it is. So it's like, oh, thank you for the channel points. It's like, what do you mean? I didn't give you anything. Now, I could subscribe. And what does Twitch do with subscriptions? They make it a big event. You make a subscription, you subscribe, and they go, wow, thanks. Man, 3 months. 3 months you've been here in this community. That's so great. And you know what? That's honest. It's appreciative. And between you and that streamer, you're having an actual honest relationship. This is not all gross, negative, disgusting manipulation tactics. They can be. But honestly, they can be applied honestly and earnestly. Would I like to know if somebody resubscribed to Patreon while I'm streaming and it's their 3rd month? I'd be like, hey, thank you. Like, I'm so glad to have you around. And then I, as a creator, would go into like talking about how much I appreciate the contributions they made to the community, and like, say, these are the sorts of people that we celebrate in our community, and if you want to be a part of it, here it is. Now I'm utilizing our relationship as marketing, right? Which is not so bad if you actually believe in your product and you think it has merit. Okay, but this is all tied into it's this big tangled mess of like, what are we trying to do here? In London Station, we are trying to build a community-focused coalition of friends, creatives, thinkers, and explorers. And I could close it today, and I could be like, we've got our 32 people in there, and we're having a good time. Like, let's just shut it down. We'll all just continue to hang out, and you'll all continue to pay me for the membership? Or is there a part of you that's interested in being a part of it as it continues to grow and you get to meet new people? Because now I have a platform that is accessible to all, and I get to be the place where the smarter, this is like a dumb smart thing, the smarter feed and algorithm brings new people and new friends to you and me and us. And when I say friends, I mean it. I'm not talking about gross manipulation tactics here. I'm talking about I put up a tent. I talk about this in play-by-post role-playing, about pitching tent poles. And you create zones around which role-play can happen and around which have a central focus. And I didn't even create the first one that really solidified this for me. It was the Temple of Shellen. It was created by Min Andreas as a place for us to interact and roleplay with. But what happened is a few of us made characters with shared backgrounds. We came and arrived. We had a big nugget of roleplay around it, and other characters came around to be a part of that. That was a tent pole in that particular play-by-post game. I'm doing the same thing here. I want to provide value, and I want to create a home for people, and I want to do it in a not gross parasocial way, but I want it to be available because I've experienced the benefits of having strong community in other communities, and I wanted to pay that forward. But you all benefit from the fact that it remains open and people can still come around and join. And you can find new friends, and you can find new people to play RPGs with, and you can find new people to, throw gifts back and forth at and make memes and just enjoy a little bit of your digital life and communication that you can. Now, should I say instead that you should all go to the park and touch grass? Probably. But here we are. This is going to be the later part of the conversation where we talk about what direction is humanity going? And this is prompted largely by AI and large language models, things that I've been ruminating on for 2 days, and that's where the stream came from. And I'm really thinking about a lot of these things. I met my 6+ best friends in an online community last year. Big same. Yeah, not last year. Over the last 4 years. Big same. Nobody makes a channel like this, like London Station. Just because they're like, I don't know, I just kind of want to do stuff. I mean, yeah, they do. But that's not how I came to it. I came to it where I had this almost verbatim experience. And I was like, God, what if I could create a space that other people could have this experience too? Wouldn't that be wonderful? Wouldn't that be good? Anyway, good and bad is a whole nother topic. Then we go into, then I start to talk about fruitful and unfruitful and Garden of Eden. I'm not kidding. Okay, we're all over the place. Where were we? We were talking about Twitch. We were talking about how Twitch has a different focus, and so they can actually cut into YouTube. If you're using YouTube to stream and Twitch to stream, you get to value. What does Twitch do for me that YouTube doesn't? Does Twitch help me build the type of community that I want? Does YouTube help me build the type of community I want? I didn't want a bunch of things popping up on the screen and fun games and things like that. But I tell you what, I love them in other people's communities. It's just not what I'm doing here. So I didn't want that. And I'm probably growing slower because of it. I'm probably suffering for the fact that I don't have more things for you all to play with while you're watching and listening. This becomes a very direct relationship where today's a great example. I am just ranting at you guys. But I tell you, the other thing I'm doing is I'm recording this so that I can watch it back later. This is me journaling. I am journaling for you right now. And I'm like, come be a part of it and ask me questions I don't think of, and that's great and fine. But I would be doing this for myself either way. I'm getting more out of it by making it something that I'm accountable to the people who are spending their time watching. I'm like, well, if they're going to watch, then I have to do a good job. So I trap myself into making good stuff. That's how that works. So anyway, so then, people will say, well, Twitch also takes a big cut. And it's like, okay, what's your alternative? What are the ones called, D-Priest? I'll scroll back up because I forgot these names. I thought the one was called, Beacon. Okay, Nebula. Nebula is the one that I'm thinking of. I've never subscribed to Nebula because I'm like, I don't know what I'm going to get out of that. And my current needs are being served by random YouTube videos. And I don't have any current pain points, or I haven't read the right articles recently to know if I should be mad at YouTube or not. Maybe I should be, but I don't know. So Nebula, to me, and I'll get this all wrong, is, let's actually, let's make sure we do consistent coloring here. Nebula, to me, this is the edutainment place, right? So this is where you see people making all sorts of cool videos about mathematics and culture and history and society and like what the History Channel used to be, I guess, in some ways. So you have creators on here who are making content and they're delivering it. You know what else is a video platform that most people don't think about? We've talked about YouTube, we talked about Twitch, we talked about Nebula for exactly as much time as I have thoughts to give it. There you go. There's my whole knowledge about Nebula. It's an attempt to create a different platform, and I believe you pay for a subscription to have access to Nebula at all, and then those funds make their way to the creators who put the content on the platform, probably by views, something of the sort. Maybe there's additional memberships layered on beneath there, because yes, at 500, or maybe I think it's at 1,000 subscribers on YouTube, then I can turn on the memberships. And once you turn on memberships, you can do things like I could run my access to the London Station Discord, which is the primary product. Well, the streams are the primary product. This Discord is almost equivalent secondary product. And I could run that through YouTube and cut Patreon out of the middle entirely, because YouTube can do what Patreon's doing for me. Isn't that wild? I didn't even know that was a thing until recently. And a few more new ones at LS. New ones what? Oh, new friends, yes. I'm old-fashioned and don't like widgets and distractions while watching. Well, come and pop up a chair at London Station, because we're, I guess, old-fashioned. But you know what is another video platform that's very interesting to me? This is a video platform. Isn't it? It is. Why hasn't it taken off like YouTube? Why hasn't it taken off like Twitch? Why hasn't it done any of that sort of thing? And the reason is they're structured entirely differently. Patreon lets me upload videos if I want, and I can upload them for free. I can upload them to specific tiers. This was the worst arrow I've ever drawn. Oh my god, I cannot write right now. Tiers. Also, somebody do me a favor and put the voice thing in chat, please. I can actually sell you videos. Isn't that crazy? I can do one-offs. So why would I put a video on Patreon for free instead of putting it on YouTube? The answer is you wouldn't. Nobody would. You might duplicate it there, but then you're like, why? You know who has a better system for hosting videos and watching back videos? YouTube. Why would you bother double uploading your videos? Now, there's probably some reasons. There's probably some strategies, and there's probably some little micro community of sorts that are on Patreon who are like, this is how I love to consume my video content. And that seems like cryptid behavior to me, but whatever. You could do it by tiers, which is interesting. But you know what I can do on YouTube already? I can limit videos and streams to Patreon only. Now I have to do all or nothing, because basically it's just an unlisted video, and I put the link in the Discord. So everybody who has access to the Discord has access to the link. And if they wanted to share it out, it could go out to everybody. I would prefer they didn't do that, and we have a relationship where nobody would do that, I don't think. But I can already kind of hotwire that for myself. Am I making the sort of content where I'm like, okay, I want my $3 tier to get this video. But this video, this special video, that's going to be for the $10 tier only. Now, why would you do that as a business? Because you want people to up their tier. So you make artificial scarcity to require them to pay you more money. And it can be virtuous as well. You can say, listen, this video, you need to be part of my $10 Patreon tier. If you want to see it, I hope you do upgrade because I'm making this one and it's hard to make. The effort I'm putting into this, I need to see this level of return in order to keep doing things of this sort. If you don't upgrade or I don't have people at $10 Patreon, what it's telling me is I can still make this, but it'll be at a loss. And how long do I want to operate at a loss while I'm building my business? So that's why you would do this. But it's very different and it's very weird. Think about this if you were a direct to Patreon movie maker. Direct to Patreon films. And then you said, you know what? We don't want to deal with Hollywood. We don't want to deal with whatever. We are going to fund our film productions entirely off of memberships we have earned, and we've built a reputation with you, the viewer. You know what to come to expect from us. We have earned your trust, and so we have $50 tiers, $100 tiers, $500 tiers, and maybe the $500 tier gets an early screening. And I can post that and I can upload it to Patreon as a full movie that we've produced, and you can see it because we have a funding mechanism to do it. And you can kind of use Patreon now in the ways that you could use YouTube as a hosting platform for that relationship. And in a way, maybe this is right, maybe this is wrong, but Patreon can be considered a hosting platform for relationship. In a way. That's one way to look at it. Alright, I'm falling behind on chat. We always pay somehow. If you add data collection or otherwise, I prefer to pay a sub for no algo and no ads, yeah. People put stuff on Patreon that YouTube doesn't allow, if that makes sense. That's also true. That's also true. Each one of these is going to have their own different terms of service and how they penalize you in their... Where did I talk about the algorithm? Here. You know, it might be something that YouTube allows it, but they're never going to show it to anybody. So you're like, nah, that doesn't work. So then you go direct to your base. And we got to talk about quips here because Patreon's trying to now branch out and do some interesting things. And they're kind of not working, I don't think. Patreon's gotten better over time. There's one creator I only follow on Patreon. The downside, I never watch them on other platforms, so it's lost views on those platforms. That's a good point. Yeah, lost views. Because if you're not stacking everything in one basket and trying to get the most, like this 500 milestone that we'll hit someday. This right here. If I had stuff uploaded to Patreon and you watched it there and didn't watch it here, or that we're talking views, not subscribers, but yeah, I understand what you're saying. So, Patreon's a weird one. It's kind of modular and ad hoc and build whatever you want because again, it is the hosting platform for the relationship. People think of it, I think. This is the model that I've seen most is you have a Patreon and it gives you access to a Discord. It is the gatekeeper to the community itself. And then you can use the fact that it has a tier structure built in, and you can monetize different elements of what you do. If y'all don't know, London Station has tiers. And I don't mean, when we increment the cry clock, when I cry on stream, we have those tiers as well. But we also have regular tiers. We have a $1 tier. It is a budget tier. It is called Passenger. And there are 5 spots open for that. It is limited. I finally fixed it 2 days ago. It had the wrong description for a long time. Oh no. We have a $3 tier. And this is called First Class Passenger, and it gives you full access to the Discord. That's what you get. That's all you get. It's really all you need. As I say this every time I ever plug the Discord. Speaking of which, did you know that I have a command for that too? Haha, professional. I'm always pitching the $3 because really the best thing you're going to get for the lowest value is the $3 tier. Now, I had to think about this in a vacuum. I wasn't sure how this was all going to pan out. I made a $5 tier called Crew. This is your standard. So, when you go to London Station, when you go to patreon.com/the London Station, I think I had to throw a "the" in there. It's going to say this is the recommended tier. This is how I don't know. This is where I value the effort that I put into the streams, which are free, so you don't have to pay for them, but they take my time. So this is how, if people want to say thank you for making this stuff, the $5 tiers is thank you for making that, thank you for running this community, thank you for giving me access to this Discord, etc., etc., etc. That's the $5 thank you, whatever. It goes up to 10. Oh, hold on. There is one special perk to the $5 crew tier, there is a voice channel. Oh my God, I can't write. There's a voice channel that is only accessible to this tier and above. Now, why don't we ever use that? And I'll give you the reason. The reason is, we have a very active voice chat community, sub-community within London Station. I don't even have to be there, and people will be like, I'm commuting to work, and I've got my Bluetooth on, and I'm going to have a conversation, and we're going to chat, and they'll talk about the games they ran the night before, what's happening in their social life. People are making friendships, and it's amazing, and it's incredible. Making or building on or expanding friendships. And so my initial idea was that I was going to limit that to the $5 tier and above. And then I realized, I don't own those calls, and people could go jump into a different channel. They could jump into the gaming channels, which are not restricted, and they could do it that way. And I could restrict this, and I could restrict that, and I could do all sorts of things to really incentivize you guys to jump from the 3 to the 5. But I don't have that many 3s because most of the large, vast majority of people who have signed up to be a part of the London Station Discord and Patreon came in at the $5 tier anyway. So then I was like, okay, I didn't know how that was going to go, so I made it the way I made it. So this perk almost never gets invoked. However, there have been the few rare times where I've done private Patreon streams, and I've allowed people to come into voice while I'm streaming, and so they get to be part of the VOD of the unlisted Patreon-only stream. And that one, I do use the channel, that private channel. And this will probably also be the channel I use if I ever say, want to have somebody on the channel to interview or whatever, like that kind of thing. I don't know. I made this up almost a year ago now, and I haven't really had to change it, so that's why that is the way it is. I support Let's Play channels on Patreon, but still watch their stuff on YouTube so they get the ad revenue. Yeah. I love the voice chat. Speaking as someone who never talked online until last year, funny, smart, and welcoming. We have a good crew. We have a great crew. $10 tier is called Specialist. And this is the last thing that you can... This is the last tier where you actually get any value. And that gives you the Signal. The Signal is my monthly... It's my monthly newsletter, which does a recap of everything that's happened in the channel over the last month, because not everybody keeps in touch with everything. And I say, hey, here's the games we reviewed in Discovery Core. Here's an interview that I did with somebody. Here's a collab I did with somebody. Here's how we're tracking for like a goal that I set. And here's some fun little art that somebody made for me, right? And that part I decided over some reflection to make free to everybody. And then I write a feature article, which is pay gated to the $10 tier. And why? Because every time I do one of those, I'm like, I want people to read these. Why do I limit it to the $10 tier? Every month I do this and I go, God, I really like what I made here. I really wish more people could consume it. But the reason I didn't drop it to the $5 tier and just say, you know what, you can all have access to the full thing. The reason is, it is the hardest thing I do for this channel to write those articles. Like, I agonize over them for weeks, and then I finally get an idea, and I finally crunch down, and I'm still behind, but I've almost caught up. If I could put a news article out in the next 4 days, then I will be back on schedule. I did have a little bit of race to catch up there because I just kind of fell off, but so that and we're just talking like, these things are like at most 5 to 8 pages in their entirety. But the last one I did was a text RP scene from my Pathfinder 2 Hellbreakers game, which is not being run on the server, so people can't find this anywhere else. But I was like, this is a good scene. So I checked with the other players. I was like, can I put this in my article? And they were like, yeah. So that's what's in this last month's issue. And then I have 25, 50, and 100. We've got a couple very generous people at the 25. Thank you so much. This gives you an extra meta currency to play with mission control stuff. 50 gives you even more of that currency, and 100 gives you even more of that currency. I'm like, there's nothing I'm going to provide value-wise that is going to be worth you giving me $50 to $100 a month. So if you choose that, it's because you were saying you want me to have that money regardless of what I'm doing, and I'm like, go for it. Here's some extra meta currency you can use to affect the story. So, that's how the tiers are worked out for London Station, and how Patreon allows you to shape an experience, right? Ultimately, like I said, this right here, $3 tier, that is going to get you 99% of everything that you would get as value for being a part of London Station. Got the budget option because I want to be conscious of that, and I don't have a free option to get into the Discord because you got to pay to play. and it does vet people, and it does make them put some skin in the game so that they have something to lose, so that they can continue to be respectful and positive people. That's all we have right now is respectful and positive people. But someday, maybe something will go viral or something, and we'll get some interesting people that maybe we don't want to associate with hanging out, being problems. I don't even have any moderators. It's great. I don't even need a moderator. So, okay, oh my gosh, we're all over the place. Patreon. What else do we want to talk about? Patreon, let's talk about quips. So the other thing that Patreon has is posts, right? So we talked about video as a video platform, but they have posts. And you can make written content, and then you can pay-gate that content. You can say, you could have a poetry Patreon. And you become sort of a direct-to-consumer poet, rather than trying to go through a publishing house or self-publishing or print on demand or anything like that. You could say, okay, I'm building up this thing. I have a poetry Patreon. It's $1 a month. Or it's $4.33 a month, which averages out to $1 a week across the year. And every week I post a poem there that's only readable if you're a member. And so you just get like a poetry little drip feed, like a zine, right? So you can monetize posts if your written content there is something that you want to like limit access to or anything of the sort. You can do all sorts of stuff. It's really wide open. But your posts only go to the people that are following you. And like, how do you get discovered on Patreon? It's like, well, you don't right now. You probably use another platform like Twitter or a Blue Sky, or maybe you have a video channel that filters down into your Patreon. Like, your business could be configured in all sorts of ways depending on what the penultimate and ultimate products are. So anyway, Patreon recently started doing these things called quips, and quips are like an internal, I don't know why I would say internal, that word's not necessary, but it's a social media for inside of Patreon. Which means that if you're inside of Patreon now, you can go to the Quips tab, and Patreon will now serve you the content people you're not following into this feed. And so you can discover new creators and new things. It so far has tended to like send me posts from people who are doing RPG map Patreons. So that's actually really a common one as well. People who make maps for RPGs, they'll have a Patreon. They're like, I make maps. And if you keep subscribing, you're going to keep getting maps for your fantasy games or whatever games. So that's a neat, art Patreons are a whole thing. So these quips are this internal social media. And the idea that they pitched it is they're like, this is going to enhance discoverability. Now you can find discoverability within people who are already on the Patreon platform, which means they're already likely to join Patreons. And isn't that so great and wonderful? Yes. It just needs to get off of the ground. And I don't know if it's getting there. I've basically been taking my Blue Sky posts. I make the Blue Sky post, I copy the whole thing, I post it over on Patreon. And I can watch in the analytics. In fact, let me actually look at the analytics right now. If I can find, I'll be honest with you, if I can find them, because the interface is actually kind of confusing. Hello? Please type. There we go. This is the real behind-the-scenes baseball. I think I have to go to Insights and Posts. Okay, yeah. So I can tell you that over doing this for like over a month straight, the total amount of impressions, which is people who had the chance to see it as they were scrolling through, my total impressions, 562. It's like I probably have 56 posts, so it's like 10 impressions per post, which is really bad. And then it has the seen metric, which is the total number of times your post was seen on Patreon for at least 3 seconds or via email, 193. So it's not a big generator of anything like that. Yeah, that's the thing, is who goes to Patreon? They're trying to get you to go to Patreon, and if this was successful, then it will eventually work. And then you can do things like, not that you wouldn't want to also diversify, but then you could start to do things like cutting out your Blue Sky segment of the business part of your operation, because you could be doing your outreach here in just one place if people actually went there. So yeah, it's a weird one. I got, for some reason, Household actually got quite a bit of impressions and views. So when I did my, live in 55 minutes, it's a deeper dive into Household by Two Little Mice. Last time we filled an entire stream with just you're going to make me click on the whole thing. Never mind. That was seen 17 times. But these are people that don't know anything about London Station, so that's actually really good, if I'm honest. And the effort it takes me to open a new tab and quickly do this is very minimal. So I'm interested in what they're doing with this. I'm interested because Patreon has positioned themselves as a relationship management platform, and so that has interest to me. I got 20 views on an Expedition 33 thing, because again, like, it's the keywords. It's like the games that because Patreon has their own algorithm, the games and things that they think that people are going to want to see. I can tell you what they don't think people want to see. Golden Sun. 0 seen on this, 2. Yeah. So it's interesting. And, maybe at some point I'll be able to point to like one single patron or relationship that they're like, I found you through the Quips thing. And I'll be like, that's awesome. It didn't take me that much work to do, and I'm glad you're here, So but it's interesting. They're trying to pivot. Not even pivot. They're trying to optimize what they already have. The problem is what they don't have is they don't have people natively coming to the platform to just click around and find things. Like, I think that's a very niche group, So anyway, that's Patreon. What does Patreon do for London Station is it facilitates the membership and there is a workflow to connect people to Discord. Give them access. Those are the two things that it actually does for me. And as a result of the membership, payment processor, etc. So this is what it does for me, and what do I pay them? This is what YouTube does for me. I don't pay them. This is what Patreon does for me. Oops. London gets this. I don't pay them. They take a cut of this. They take a cut of the membership. So I pay platform fees out of the membership dues that I collect. Seems like a fair trade to me. Now the rates is where you're going to agree or disagree that it's the right value. But conceptually, you're going to host this whole platform for me and do this integration for me, and you're going to give me reporting that I can probably easily put on tax forms. I don't know. We're going to have to figure that out next year. That's going to be wild. And you're going to just take a cut of the membership. You don't make any money until I make money. You are not charging me first up front. What more could you ask for? What more could you ask for? Right? These are not all evil, predatory business models. It's just that sometimes they're run by evil, predatory people, and you have to decide who you want to be affiliated with. I get an email for each post someone on my Patreon makes, so there's no reason to go to Patreon to keep up. That's true. That's true, and if the content is text-based and you can get it served over email, exactly. And then they're probably going to start doing a thing, Dicey, where they're going to say, oh, hey, by the way, we've been rolling out Quips. It's been going for about 3 months now. Now that it's a little bit more robust, we're going to start sending you a daily digest to your email. And so they're going to take their own algorithm and they're going to serve it to you over email. If they're still serving it to you over email, they have a problem to solve. They need to get you on their platform. But their platform has always been a gateway platform to other final destinations, whether it's YouTube or Discord or anything else. So they've got, I'm sure they've had some very interesting business meetings that I think would be actually genuinely fascinating to be a part of. Cool. So we talked about YouTube. We talked about Twitch. We talked about Nebula briefly. We talked about Patreon. We could talk about, who else do we use here? I don't know that I would say that I use Blue Sky. I guess I do. Blue Sky just happens to be where a lot of people migrated after twitted. And there's a lot of, so there's an audience here. We should do the what does London get box again. That's actually a helpful framing. What do I get from Blue Sky? I get an audience. Because for Blue Sky, you can look at the people you're following, and then one tab over is like discover and browse. It's not like Patreon where you're not there for any reason other than, why? Why would anybody go to Patreon? You sign up and you're done. Also, most creators make it very easy to find their Patreon through their other platforms like YouTube. Yep. I have never once gone to Blue Sky unless someone linked a specific post, but I also didn't use Twitter. I never used either of them either. The reasons that I'm on Blue Sky is because there's a lot of RPG designers and industry people. So I'll put this here. There's a lot of industry people on there, and pretty much almost without fail, all of my VTubing friendships that I've made are there. And why does that matter? It matters because when I post that I'm going to go live with something, they can repost it and share it to their own audiences. You know, so whatever. This is my communication channel to the people that are not paying me. That's the other thing, I could make these as posts up here on YouTube, but that's still only going to go to people who are already subscribed. So with Blue Sky and quips and things like that, what I'm trying to do, if I'm trying to do anything, it's to reach the people who aren't already bought in, who are going to discover this for the first time. And if somebody goes like, oh shoot, Golden Sun, I loved Golden Sun. There you go. Now somebody new has eyes on the channel and they're going to go, oh, that's what this channel is? And then they're going to leave. But I will have got them for half a minute. So I get the audience, I get discoverability, I get interaction with other creators. Sometimes I'm on there just messing around with people. Because, again, they're not all in my Discord. Because everybody has a Discord. I've come to find this out. This was something I wanted to talk about today, too. Gosh, so many Discords out there. Okay. The image I used for the thumbnail, you know, Loki at the end of Loki Season 2, spoilers, and it's old at this point. But he's holding together the branches of the timelines of reality, and the branches become the branches of Yggdrasil, symbolically, because he's a Norse god, right? And he's holding it all together. And that is sort of analogous to what communities are trying to do. A community is never all one thing without the members of it not also having other relationships to other communities or other timelines or other branches of the multiverse. That's why I use the Loki image, is because trying to create, facilitate, and harbor community is you're trying to create that nexus point in the middle, that tent pole, just like I talked about in RPGs, as a community where you're trying to hold it all together. And the service you're providing is holding it together. So I'll give you an example, and I know we're not finished with Blue Sky, but whatever. Discord is its own whole other thing. Let's give Discord this color. I was not aware how many Discords there are out there. I was not aware how many people made and ran their own. I was not aware that people were making them for one-off purposes and then being done with them. Like, blew my mind. My experience with Discord, the very first Discord I ever touched, ever, Knights of Last Call. If you go into Discord on Knights of Last Call, and you should learn how this search function works because it's actually really good. And if you go from and put my username in there, and then you sort by oldest, you will see my original posts when I came into Knights of Last Call. And I'm in there going like, hey, y'all, like, I don't know how Discord works, but I figured I should learn because it sounds like there's something cool going on here. This is from like 5 years ago. I had never been in any other Discord to that point, and then at a certain point, it's like, okay, well, other like publishers and people that I'm a consumer of, Roll for Combat, when I was backing their Eldamon books, then I'm like, oh, well now, okay, here's a Discord over here, and I see what they're doing. They have their own community and their own, you know, they have a bunch of play-by-post channels and stuff there too. But you know, I'm like, okay, I'm only interested in this because I backed this product, so I'm only going to look at this little tiny slice of this, and then I started to understand that KOLC was like, for me anyway, it was like a wholesale thing. Like every channel down the line, I wanted to know what was going on and what conversations were being had. So I was looking at the whole thing. Then I find, okay, well, I'm only actually a member of Roll for Combat, so I can get updates on Eldamon. And then as I've made this channel, I'm like, oh, well, I'm going to be doing a review of Blue Rose, so I guess I should find... Did Green Ronin have a Discord? Of course they do. So the publisher, I'm like, oh, I'll go into the publisher thing, and they've got these channels, and I'm like, okay, well, I'm not interested in those games, but these two are tied to Blue Rose, and so I'm going to come in here and be like, hey, I'm going to talk about Blue Rose on my stream. So now I'm a member of that Discord. And every single publisher down the line has a Discord, and those are the businesses. And then you have the friends who have their own Discords because they run games on them. And I don't mean Discords that have a gaming community and run multiple games. That is its own category. It's coming up. I'm talking about, this is my Discord as an individual. This is where I run my games. So I have I'm in 2 at least of these where specific games are being run, or games run by specific people. And then a little chatter that happens with their friends. And I get to be there, which is great. And then there are, I don't know what you want to call it, friends who are doing more of a community-based thing. Discords. And I know of 2 of these, at least, where it is a collection of people who have met and interacted in any number of these and filter down into these, and they say, oh, well, I want to have a little bit maybe more control, or I want to get away from toxic people, or I wanted this, or I wanted that. And so these are communities that have multiple games going on of different kinds at the same time, different groups. But it's just a free, friends community server. I just went to the home landing on Patreon, and it just shows people I'm already a Patreon off primarily. I don't think they're doing a good job surfacing other content if that is intended. It is intended. They are not, and you are correct. I don't even see a place I would discover other creators. You know what, Dicey? Actually, I think that for now, this whole functionality is only on mobile. If you go to the mobile app, then you will see the feeds of the stuff that you're not already following. Which, again, it's like, huh? Patreon, the website that you go to once in a while when you're trying to sign up for a new Patreon membership and you want to try and shift everybody's attention to mobile. Who was ever using the Patreon mobile app? I'm not saying don't put it on mobile. I'm just like, why? But yeah, when I was trying to figure this out, I was like, look, I'm going to give it a shot. I'm going to try and repost my content over there. But, yeah. Also, good God, I get so excited and then I forget all about this. I really need to up my game there. So there's these servers, and then we now have a private game that is a game-specific server. And the only thing that happens on that server is that game, and I'm in one of those. And I'm like, oh my God, I didn't know when I made London Station that I was just another Discord channel in the sea of hundreds of Discord channels that y'all poor people are part of, and I'm sorry I didn't know. I didn't know. So now I'm like, oh, I came in here trying to provide value. I didn't realize I needed to provide value, that I was going to be the place that hopefully you all came to have your chats. I didn't realize what competition I was up against. I didn't know that you were already all chatting with your friends over here and your friends over here, and then you had your game-specific ones over here. And then I found this out blessedly late in the process, and I'm like, damn. And people are signing up to be here? Wow. I appreciate it so much. Discord server bloat is real. And I didn't know. If I had known, there's a slim chance that I could have known this sooner and gotten discouraged by it and just not even bothered with any of this, because I would have been like, it's never going to happen, except for the fact that I had seen this example of a lot of people coming around for a creator-led Discord. But yeah, I didn't know, and I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry that it's another server for all you guys. For me, it was like, I have them in folders, right? So I have like the publishers in a folder, and I have like the friends in a folder, and every single one of my VTuber friends, they also all have one. I'm like, oh no, I didn't know. I thought, for me, it's like, these are all in folders, and then like I have my like main ones. I have 3. It's KLC, it's London Station, and it's my game down here that we're talking about. So I have 3 that I bother like actively checking on, unless I'm like, okay, I've got some time, I want to see what everybody else is doing. So I thought I was going to be like one of 2 or 3 for everybody else too, but no, it's not true. There really are way too many Discords. Yep, I'm sorry. I sometimes join a Patreon to support, but hide from the Discord. I don't care about connecting parasocially to most creators. I just like their stuff. Yeah, perfectly valid. We have people in London Station who are members, because you can be a member and not link your Discord. That hasn't happened yet. But there's people who are members, and they're not very active. They're just like, yeah, I just want to support you. I'm like, thank you. Never get me wrong. I appreciate the support. LS is your second priority server? Wow. Wow. That's amazing. That's really awesome. Like each niche TTRPG I want to play, it's really useful to join their Discord for questions of finding players. Yeah, that's another thing is, like we're, speaking of which, we've got 2 Legend in the Mist play-by-posts happening on London Station right now. We also have a Last Caravan play-by-post starting. We did do a First Contact with The Last Caravan, and I think it's a delightful game. And we are now actively playing it on the server. So thanks to Gil. Gil was like, yo, are you going to run this anytime soon? And I was like, no. And he's like, what if I joined your server and ran it? I'm like, okay, now you have my attention. I will play in it. So I get to play. Can you believe that? Pretty exciting. But yeah, I was just in the MythWorks Discord the other day because I had questions about stuff as we're doing character creation. I'm like, is it this way or this way? And Ted, he's so silly. He's like, I've done it both ways. And I'm like, Ted, that's not helpful, but thank you. All right, we'll decide for ourselves. So yeah. Anyway, Discord. Holy crap. Now, let's do the white box here, and then we'll go back to Blue Sky, maybe? I don't know. What does London get from Discord? Whew. I get so much. I get voice channels. Like, don't underestimate that. The idea that you can have a centralized place that you can speak to people voice to voice and you don't have to share phone numbers. Which means people don't have to be worried about privacy concerns or things like that. Now, I mean, it's Discord, so you also kind of have to be worried about privacy concerns because they've been doing some stuff. But this is huge. The voice channels is a huge, I keep talking about it. This is an enormous element of what makes London Station special, is how much activity we have in voice. There was a day, I guess it was a couple weeks ago. It was a Friday. Maybe it was even a Thursday. I don't know. And I was like, I want to get a bunch of stuff done. And I want to be held accountable to getting a bunch of stuff done. So I'm going to go sit in the voice chat. And I'm like, I'm doing a productivity hangout. And one other patron jumped in with me. And they were literally working their job from home. And there would be like, minutes would go by and neither of us would say anything. And then we'd just like spontaneously go into a separate conversation about something else. I'm like, I'm working on this and I'm trying to solve this problem. And I can't think of the word, you know? And I was in that voice call for about, I don't know, 6 hours, because then, you know, that patron finished off their day, and then a bunch of other people slid in. They're like, hey, we just finished up our game of Legend of the Mist, or whatever it was, if it was a Thursday. And we hung out and I kept working on things, and I designed a bunch of stuff for London Station. I don't even remember what I accomplished, but it was great. I built all of these commands that I've been using today in the bot. Just little things that I needed to get to. So the voice channels are huge. That's what I get. I get the text channels, which, of course, you know, like, you go back up here. Back up where? Back up here? The blue arrow. Places that take a cut of something. Can you do these things? Can I host a voice server and a text channel server and have forums and have complete control over how it's built? What else do we get from Discord? That's largely it. Discord is just a container for people. It's a container for people and conversation. And a phrase that I've recently heard is a place to have, well, we'll save that for later. We'll see if we get to that topic. Because I have a lot of unfinished topics on the board right now. So I get all that stuff, and what do I pay Discord? What do I pay? Nothing for these functions. Now, I have recently purchased the Nitro membership, and I know that was a whole campaign to not do that because of the privacy stuff they were pushing. I ultimately did it for one reason and one reason only. The frequency of the voice channels and it being such a like high priority item for me to make sure is good. I wanted the better bit rate, whatever, for voice. That's it. So I got one membership at the minimum. We don't have any other boosts in the server, so I was like, that's how I'm going to do this. I am now effectively paying a $10 a month management fee to Discord to make my community better. And if I think about like, and I'm getting everything else as well for nothing, it's pretty great. In my opinion, it's pretty great. But But, there's other stuff. Other stuff you could be doing with it, but that's what it is for me. So yeah, Patreon is the relationship, what did I call it? A hosting platform for relationships. Discord becomes the place where relationships are performed. And what else have we got? We got to go back to Blue Sky. What do I get? I get audience, discoverability, interaction. That's probably fine. We can cap that off there. What do I pay Blue Sky? I pay nothing. So how do they make their money? Well, they advertise to you for being on their platform. But because I'm not directly controlling the eyes on the advertisements, I'm not getting a cut of it. Whereas if I was on YouTube and YouTube was serving ads to you and I had this threshold and I turned ads on, you would be seeing ads, but you would be seeing ads because you were watching my content, and they would say, thank you, London, for making that video. You made us $1. So we're going to give you 10 cents or whatever it might be. Whereas here on Blue Sky, it's like, they're like, look, we're advertising to whoever's here. If you want to utilize us for your outreach, go for it. I don't even know. Can you do anything else with Blue Sky? Special membership or blue checkmark nonsense or anything? I don't know why you would. Not at my level anyway. So. This whiteboard is a mess, guys. It's a mess. One of these days I'll learn how to use the... Well, not learn, but I'll actually use the drawing tools that are built in to this ScalaDraw. But not today. Not today. Well, I guess it's just this easy, isn't it? Haha. Well, too bad. Too bad. You get to deal with sloppy writing. I'm just putting boxes around things so I can reference them easier. Okay. Now, this whole thing so far has been us talking about platforms that are currently in use by London Station. I didn't even mention Stream Elements, so let's quickly crush that one. Stream Elements is a tool that basically lets you do things like alerts and take tips. Alerts, tips, overlays. Now you can build the full overlays in Stream Elements. I don't, because otherwise I wouldn't be able to do stuff like this. Like, I can change this on the fly from OBS because I made these graphics and they're just here as an image file, uploaded directly to OBS. So when I say overlays, what I'm talking about are, let's turn off chat. So there goes chat. So this is pulling from YouTube through an API to a browser source that you could open this browser source in a window and you would just see our chat floating there right now. But it's being pulled into Discord and layered over, so I can turn that on and off. And then this one here, you see those three boxes there. So this is where I create the titles and the text for what these boxes are, which I need to reinvent this whole thing. I need to redo all my overlays. But it's pulling from API from YouTube as well, latest subscriber, and then from Stream Elements itself, latest donor and tip goal. I can change the titles of those things in Stream Elements itself, and then I can turn these on and off if I ever wanted to. But that's what those are. And then we have our alerts as well. And I have my alerts coded to, if somebody subscribes while I'm live, you'll see an alert. And if somebody tips while I'm alive, you'll see an alert. And it's configured for Super Chats, but Super Chats don't exist yet. So, unfortunately, they don't have a good API with Patreon. That would be cool, because then I would be able to get an alert if people sign up to the Patreon while live, but alas. So that's what Stream Elements does for me. And when I say tips, we've seen this already. We understand we have payment processing. That's services I can't do. I can't process payments for Visa or MasterCard. I can't do that. So they do that for me, and they take a cut. Y'all know what I pay for Stream Elements? $0. So how do they monetize off of me? There. Just like, who was it that only got, really? I'm losing track. I'm all over the place. Yeah, it's the Patreon model. They get a cut of the membership. Over here, they get a cut of the tips. And why shouldn't they? This arrow makes no sense. We're going to undo it. So that's how Stream Elements gets their kicks. There are a number of services that do exactly this. Stream Elements does not need to be the one you use. There are other ones, something Ninja, but there's all sorts of stuff. There's all sorts of stuff. I'm not very sophisticated in the streaming landscape because I don't need to be until or unless Stream Elements craps the bed, which they almost did recently. They were going to shut their doors down and they got bought out by some other investor. So who knows who that purchaser was. I have not researched it. But they almost died, and I was like, well, they said they're going to shut their doors in 30 days, which means I've got 30 days to wait and see if somebody buys them out, or 30 days to pivot to a new tool that can do. Again, I just need something to pull my chat through. I need something to track things that I want to track, and I need something to do alerts. Twitch has a lot of this stuff built in. Whether it's good or not, I don't know. But again, Twitch is more designed to serve streaming channels itself. So that's what Stream Elements does for us. Is there any other partner, if we want to call them that London Station uses? Probably, if I thought really hard. Let's see, what do? I post to Blue Sky, I post to Patreon, I upload to YouTube. Okay, and then there's the non-service tools, OBS. Video editing softwares, if I do or don't use them. I mean, right now I'm using VLC to play music. So there's a lot that goes into this. Take Tones. So I actually bought the subscription. I bought the licenses for the 2 songs that I used in the channel, which was my intro screen, and then when I switch in and I'll play it. I'll play it again. Everybody loves this tune. I will just play it again. Except I can't hear it for some reason. Don't know why. Is it because my speakers are too quiet? It is. Okay. So I paid for these 2 licenses at like $17 a pop, but I was like, I'm going to get a lot of mileage out of these, and they were like some of my only upfront costs at all. I think I paid, Mi 6. I got to put Mi 6 on the board too. But that was a one-time payment. But it's like, if you own the license, then if they make a copyright claim against you, then you can dispute it. But I had to dispute it every single time I used the song for every single stream. And so that was one of the things I did in one of my productivity streams, is I literally went through and clicked through and submitted my license ID across every stream that I had done at that point, and it took like an hour or 2. And I was like, an hour or 2 of my time is worth me just giving them the monthly membership so that they just whitelist my channel and never claim anything ever again. So I did do that. Which means I have access to an enormous library of music that I've barely scratched the surface of, but I just haven't had time to sit down and utilize it. So let's write it on the board. We gotta write it on the board. And there are a number of music services too. I believe that, from what I could tell, this is like a non-AI, platform where people upload music. But there's others. What's it called? Can't think of it. It just tickled my brain and then it left. So we have that, and then back in the Discord conversation, there are functionalities that I use through... Where did I write Discord? No, it's in this color. There is functionality that I use for a bot, and that is the Mi 6 bot. And there are other bots that do these tools as well. You can research them and you can figure out what they do. But I just did a flat fee for this one, so I have a lifetime use of it. And this tracks like participation in Discord, which I use to then do, there's an economy module, and that's how I do my meta discs. It's how I do commands, like the commendations. I don't ever talk about this stuff, but for those of you not in the Discord, if you're ever watching this, we just do like the shout outs for people when they make cool comments or funny jokes or whatever, and they get a little commendation. And I might do something fun with those someday. There's reaction triggers, role assignment through emoji selection, just some, nice quality of life stuff that makes interacting with the Discord as painless as possible. So I do have that bot as a tool in the old the old bag. There you have it. That's the landscape of what we're currently using for London Station. And now we get to talk about what it would look like if we built something from the ground up. Because you can see here, there's a lot of competing interests. And there's a lot of what you might call negative incentives in these platforms. Any one of these platforms that is getting their revenue off of ads, it is hard to trust them because they get their, let me turn the music back on. They get their, they pay their bills by making people stay engaged with their platform, which means they are perversely incentivized to keep you looking. This is what you find with TikTok and Facebook Reels and YouTube Shorts and whatever. And they are manipulating the psychology of humanity, and they know how to manipulate attention and to keep you locked in place. So any of them that rely on ad revenue to pay their bills are suspect immediately. And I don't care how good of a company they are. It doesn't matter. The system is built in such a way that there is no way for them to be, what did I say somewhere around here? Something about the virtuous incentives of capitalism, quote unquote. Because the argument for the pro-capitalism crowd are going to say, well, capitalism creates competition, and competition creates incentives for them to provide the best product they can, because then the free market will naturally sort out who the best companies are. Not true. Not true anymore. Maybe it was. But things like marketing and advertising and the manipulation of the economy of attention, if you've heard about the attention economy, when they've squeezed people of all of their money and their actual coins, what do they have? What do you have left? What do they have left? How can they extract more from you? And they can start to monetize your attention span, which is terrifying. Because I'm here right now being a part of the problem, creating content that hopefully you're intentionally engaging with and you want to be here and you're getting something from this. This is why I'm so intense around the idea of providing value. If I am here just passing time for you, then I should quit. And I mean that. Okay. Come on over. If I am not actually providing you value, then I would rather you go weed your garden or mow your lawn or spend time with your family or walk your dog or just spend some time in the sun or learn a new hobby or find a community in your local area. Find human connection. This is human connection in a modern technological world. We have tools that break down the barriers between me and you so that I can talk to you and you guys can chat back to me and we can hop on Discord later and we can actually talk to each other and we can have our videos on or not. We can play games together. We can have a modern technologically enabled relationship and friendship, and those can be real. But this is why I'm so intense about wanting to provide value, because I don't want to just be part of the problem. Because we are selling off our attention, and we are selling off our time, and it's all we have. And they will take it from you. They will take it from you, and they will squeeze it out of you until you have nothing left. So, that's part of why. That's part of why the other day I was like, you know what? I just want to get my hands on something and make something. And you all got to hang out with me while I did it. And that was great, and that was fun. And it was a 4th of July weekend, so I had some extra time. And I was like, I want to do something that I can touch and feel and see in the world, because there's so much of what we do now is not tactile. It's not physical. Now, would it have been better if I had actually created art instead of interacting with art? Like, this was, as we talked about during the stream, this was 99% guaranteed to have been created by a computer program that modeled it out and decided where all the little slots needed to fit in. But you know what it was? It was fun to assemble. It made me use my hands. It gets to exist in a physical space and be something that has value now.
Like, in some crazy world, like, I could take this and be like, I assembled this and I could sell it for $5. Now, that'd be a loss. This thing cost me $20. Maybe you could sell it for more than $20 if the value is in the fact that it's been constructed, but it exists and I own it. You know, to some degree, I own the streams that I've done. You know, I can download them. I don't record while I stream because it just takes more processing on the computer's part. But to that degree, you know, I own those things, and YouTube's not going to completely scrape them away from me without giving me a 30 to 60 day chance to download them, because they can't. There's probably terms and conditions that I didn't read, but I'm probably backed up in that way. Anyway, so what does it look like to build something that does not rely on perverse incentives? And again, we know the suspect, where capitalism intersects with the attention economy, then you're going to have problems. Should we talk about AI now? Is this where we pivot to AI? Because there's another economy that's developing. Springboards off of this. Now we've monetized your attention. What else do we have left to monetize? This is not, I'm not trying to make this doom and gloom, but what else is there left to monetize? What do I mean by this? How do they monetize your thinking? Well, these tools, these AI/large language model tools, they are a collection of data that has been either input or illegally scraped from sources. And what that means is that the only things that go in is what has already been made. And one of the counter arguments that you hear about AI is like, well, it can't create new ideas. And it's like, when's the last time a human had a new idea? Okay, specialists come up with new ideas. The general populace does not generally come up with new ideas of any merit. Musicians recycle, poets recycle, writers recycle, filmmakers recycle. We take the ideas of the cultural zeitgeist of everything that's come before us and we synthesize it. We already did that. That's not the problem. To me, that's not the problem. This may be a problem. Somebody smarter than me could come in and say, well, here's why that actually is a problem. But that, to me, that's not the problem. We are evolving in a direction that the lines between what our technology does and what we do on our own is blurring. And then you'll have people go like, oh, when calculators were first invented, they were afraid that nobody would be able to do higher level math and yada, yada, yada. And then come to find out, you know what, it's fine to use a calculator. You can still teach and learn the principles of mathematics to know when and how to use the calculator. AI, LLMs can be used as a tool in that way. There are so many problems, guys. Don't think I'm coming here trying to defend AI in its current state. There are so many problems. But I want to be very precise about what the problems are. Yeah, a lot of the training is exploitation of third world labor for AI too, as if it wasn't bad enough already. Then, yeah, and then environmental issues, data centers, et cetera, et cetera. It's a problem in its current state. Absolutely 100% is. But I like I've been saying, I want to crystallize what the problem is. If I have a question about something and I go to Wikipedia, is there an outrage? No. Because even Wikipedia was just an online encyclopedia, and we had encyclopedias in print going back 100 years. Encyclopedias were a collection of data, information, knowledge in print. They're a collection of data, knowledge, etc. online. Now, Wikipedia took some heat for a while because people were like, anybody can edit it. It's like, yeah, but there's rigorous, like there's a process. There's a process. Whether it's Wikipedia or not, if you Google something, is there an outrage? No, it's like, well, that's how you would find something out. Is you would, if you don't know it, you can go down to your local library and figure out the Dewey Decimal System and go find a resource book, or go down to your local university and do it that way. But yeah, if you're a professional, you might do that. But if you're a casual, person who's like, I want to know something, I want access to information, and our modern tools have been like, here, you can get this information really quick. Put it into Google, vet the sources yourself, figure out where you can get your answer. And then that got muddied, of course. And then now we have large language models. And if you come to a large language model and you say, what year was Pitch Perfect 1 released? Which I don't actually know. And it's like, Pitch Perfect was released in da-da-da-da-da. It's like, oh, okay. Now, there's a couple problems with that. One, it used processing power to give you that answer. It wasn't a static resource. But, routing traffic is also a resource. So, for simple requests like that, possibly not the end of the world. You're going to it for information. There's a phrase that I heard that I did not hate, is that you are having a conversation. It's kind of gross, but it's kind of not wrong. You're having a conversation with information. I will tell you that professionally, I know a lot of people in my peer group are using AI in their jobs. And they're using it to kind of assemble information for them. And the skill is becoming like, do you know how to utilize prompts? So we're learning the skill to utilize prompts while not thinking through the problem itself. This is broad strokes, I'm really probably not equipped to talk about any of this, but I want to get some core ideas out there. How do they monetize your thinking is the question. They've already monetized our money, our resources, then our attention, then our thinking. And what I mean by your thinking is they say, use our tool to think for you. Don't use the other person's tool, use our tool. And they're going to sell you ads. So they want you to stay engaged with the thing that's going to think for you, but it needs to be their tool. If you use their tool to think for you and they sell ad space, then they're further incentivized to keep you engaged with the tool that is doing the thinking for you or that you're having a conversation with. We all know by now, I think, it's getting more and more clear. You do not want to engage with these tools for any sort of personal support. And they need to not replace your actual relationships. This immediately crosses the line into inappropriate use of the tool. How do you fix that? I don't know. I've had some thoughts like what if you could have an LLM that would recognize where it's like, hey, I recognize you're asking this question, but this really seems like a question that you need to find some support for in your own personal life, and so I'm not going to answer it for you. You could probably build that in. It would be tough, like all the conditions and parameters you have to put in, and then you got to build 10 more data centers, right? But we can get there. We can get there as humanity, and we can smooth off the rough edges of the problems, and we can come up with ways to solve it. It's just those solutions are not coming fast. They're not coming fast enough, and people are getting hurt. But we can get there. It'd be really great if we could all pull the same direction and stop engaging in wars with one another. Let's take the war budgets and let's put them to solving this problem instead. Wouldn't that be neat? They could pretty easily have safer chatbots, but it would reduce engagement. Boom, there it is. So that's the problem. This is not a public tool. And if it was a public tool, and you'd be like, well, then who controls the public tool? The government? You can't do that. You can't have the government control what information flows and doesn't flow. So there are a lot of problems to solve with this. But there are ways that you can try. And if you engage with AI or LLMs in any sense, I would just encourage you to be really, really, really mindful and thoughtful about what you're asking it for, and really ask yourself, is this something I should be asking AI for? Because I had a moment the other day where I put something in, and I was like, I should not have put that in. I should have figured that out on my own. But I caught myself, and I was like, okay, this is a moment for me to learn that was not the appropriate use of this tool. And to keep it to being a quote-unquote conversation with information, and to keep it being in the ways that I would go to Wikipedia or go to Google, and limit it to that. And yeah, slippery slope, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. These things are here. They're coming. There are methods that people are using to self-host and make their own custom models, and that's the proponents are like, yeah, now it's like the cat's out of the bag, and now everybody can make their own tools, and then that's how we're going to break free of the corporate ones that are going to sell us ads and try to keep us engaged. And we're going to do it in this honest, ethical way. It's like, great. You're going to make the Linux of LLMs or whatever. I wish you luck. I hope it goes well. Computing will continue to advance, and that will be more and more possible and likely as time goes on. I do have an optimism and a faith in humanity that we can solve these problems, and so I'm not like ringing the doomsday bell just yet, you know? But we have to be intentional. And intentionality is it's one of the goals that I have for London Station. Because, yeah, we're a community of people that are largely built around playing tabletop role-playing games, which is a very analog hobby. In its purest form, you get a physical book, you read the book to understand the rules. Your brain becomes the computer that synthesizes the information and the prompts that go into the fictional world, and then you process it and you spit back out information, and then people interact with it. And you used to do that around a table with physical dice to be your random generators and your input-output. And that's changed too. And now you have your play-by-post, and you have your live play, and you have your Foundry modules in your Discord, and they'll take the math of the system and they'll do it for you. And it's like, fine. Like, I didn't sit down to know how to compare a result to an armor class. That's not why I'm here. So I'm okay if a computer does that for me, right? But by and large, you know, London Station, we're a TTRPG community. We do a little bit of video game stuff just to hang out. We do topical discussions like this. I'd love to do more stuff like this, if I'm honest with you. I don't think it's going to perform well. I think in a week I'm going to be like, wow, that one didn't even crack 30 views or something like that, you know? But I'm learning from this. I'm getting out of this and orienting myself to try to be intentional about the product I'm creating, because the product I'm creating is the community. I'm using these tools to create my product. The product is something ethereal and relational that can't be captured by any one of these things alone. And I want to do it I have big ideas. You guys know this. I want to do London Station in a way that elevates humanity. And if that means that I'm making a better place or a safe interaction point, for, let's say trans people, like let's say London Station starts to become a representational place where it's like, this is a really LGBTQ positive place with a trans creator, great, wonderful, supportive trans members, and it's a safe place for that. And that could be a little nodule that grows off to the side of London Station of people who maybe don't even care about tabletop role-playing games or video games, but they can just be more friends and they can feel safe. That could be a dimension that London Station could grow in. I should come back over here. Let's come back over here. So I want to be intentional about what I'm creating. And it's just like, why? You guys think I don't ask myself the question why all the time? Why? Why? It's one of the hardest questions to ask, and I don't even know that I have a good answer for it. And I've written articles on this. I've done streams on this. Why did I make this? Why are we here? I had an experience in a community that changed my life. And I realized the power of that. And I thought, I can be that too. And I can and will reach people that group won't. And those people deserve to have the opportunity to have the experience that I had as well. So what is it that I'm actually chasing after? I had an experience that affected my life in a positive way, a tumultuous way. Don't get me wrong. It's been an interesting 2 years. So what am I after? I want to afford people a place to have the positive experiences that I've had around, even if it's just gaming. Gaming, friendship, community. Why? Why? If you keep asking why, you will eventually get to the core of it. And the only thing that makes any sort of sense is I'm sitting here as a human, caring about other humans and wanting to elevate their experience. I want to elevate what it means to be human. I want to have discourse around these topics. I want to talk about what it means when the technology and the tools around us are shifting so rapidly and so quickly, and they're monetizing our attention and they're monetizing our thinking space. And I want to have conversations about that. I want us to be prepared to take the step into the next level, because we are going to continue to grow and change, and it is rapidly expanding. Us millennials, we got kicked around a lot. We were blamed for everything that was wrong in the world for decades, and I think now they're shifting the blame elsewhere. But whatever, we got kicked around a lot, and And yet on the other side of the coin, sometimes millennials generally will kind of be like, haha, we were the last generation to have lived in a pre-internet and a post-internet world. And that gives us a special, unique perspective. Maybe it doesn't, maybe it doesn't. Maybe that's bullshit. But those changes are happening so much more rapidly that now it's like every living generation is living in the pre and post of some new thing. AI is the most recent. Like we had pre and post smartphone, but that took a little while to get, to get out there. So that was, there are younger generations who never had pre-smartphone. But like everyone alive right now, that's of any sort of like conscious, like except, because AI went like what? The last 4 or 5 years is when AI has really been on the rise, which means with the exception of 4 and 5-year-olds and younger, everybody alive went through that change at the exact same time because it was that fast. And when things are changing this quickly, if we're not trying to understand what's happening to us, and I'm talking about like what's happening to us in this very sci-fi way, because we're getting there, guys. We're getting there to where the changes are happening so fast that we do need to ask ourselves, what does it mean? I know. This is what the fiction asks. This is what the science fiction novels ask. This is what the cyberpunk games ask. What does it mean to be human? I'm gonna cry again. What does it mean to be human? What does it even mean? What does it mean? Now, we could drop a giant EMP on the Earth and we could be like, boom, all your technology's gone. You're done. You can have things powered by batteries. You can have Walkmans again with cassette tapes. Okay, but nothing else. What's left? Well, now we're going to go back out and, I don't know, we're going to have to do handwritten invoices and tracking and shipping orders, and things are going to be slower. It's going to be a slower pace to life. We're going to have to make sure and adjust in the short term to make sure that the people in our communities are fed. So people better start gardening like crazy because their distribution models are going to go to hell in a handbasket. So you need to immediately pick up that load. We're not prepared for that. We are not prepared for that. But, so what does it mean to be human then? Are we not human now because we have distribution models for our groceries? Or is humanity an evolving concept that was tougher to accept as an evolving concept because the changes were slower? And now that the changes are faster, we realize whatever it is that makes us human, we might not even really know a good answer to that question, because we might end up outsourcing that thing that we thought made us special and human, and then 30 years later be like, clearly we're still here humaning it up. So it wasn't that. It wasn't that. Then you get to go into spiritual if you want to. I didn't think the cyberpunk dystopia would happen this quickly. And yet, it's wild. It's wild. So, yes, I'm sorry. I'm an RPG channel. I'm a trans woman. There are elements of my identity that have nothing to do with the future course of humanity, and yet that is what I am here working on. I didn't really know that I knew that until sitting here to do the stream, which is why, by the way, I'm sitting here doing the stream. You can't get somewhere without trying to go there. And if you don't know where you are, you don't know where you're going. Hypothetically, I was going to talk about what would it look like to create a London station that did everything I wanted it to do towards these ends and towards these needs. And what it would look like is probably an all-in-one inclusive platform that did it all. It was your video hosting, it was your membership, it was your payment processing, it was your tips. It was your tool for social engagement. It was your, what else do we have up here? We have licenses for music or whatever. So you start to imagine, like, okay, what could that look like? A big, broad umbrella system that's modular that has plugins. So instead of using different services, you're using different plugins within the same service. Well, what's the difference at the end of the day? Joint ownership of the umbrella? I don't know if we want that. But what if it's self-hosted? And that's where I started to think about as computing evolves. And you could start to have, you have LLMs who are doing, their best. They're doing their best at trying to code things, vibe coding, right? People are vibe coding websites and apps and all sorts of things, and then they start to break down, and then the companies are all apologizing. And it's like, well, you laid off your workforce because you didn't want to pay their health insurance, which is a whole nother topic. This is why I'm so frustrated. We have these old economic models that do not make sense anymore because companies will now take the easy road to offload the burden of things like healthcare, which means literally paying for the health of your people. Don't want to do that. It's too expensive. Which is an insane thing to say. And that's how you know that we have really perverted our incentives. That should be one of the first things you care about. The health of the people. The people are also your consumers, you jackasses. It's all very much topsy-turvy right now. And there are enough people in power, I feel confident in saying, who even as this model continues to show its wear and tear and its ineffective nature of dealing with modern problems, they're going to cling to it with every fiber of their being because that model is what is currently giving them power. And as much as these bootstraps, like, I innovated, I did this, I rolled with the times, as soon as they got to the top, they don't want to innovate anymore. They're like, this system is working for me. It's working for me and my yacht. It's working for me and my penthouse here and there, and I have 5 homes and all that stuff. It's working great for those people. Do you think they want to go back and re-innovate again? They're like, no, I figured it out. I won. You can't take that from me. I want to have ownership over my success. It's like your success is hurting people. Your success is making us fall apart at the seams. Your success is stoking the fires of conflict and rebellion and not rebellion, but violence and extreme conflict across the world. And yes, there can be all sorts of reasons for wars, but could you imagine if we could feed everybody? What if we didn't drop bombs on people? We just dropped, here's a bunch of food. Here's a bunch of care packages. And healthcare. Like, you have these sci-fi stories of aliens who come in, and they're just like, we're here to fix all your problems. There's a lot of sci-fi stories like that. And it's like, well, what happens then? Do we still fight with each other? Is there anything left to fight over? And then some of them will ask crazy questions like, does who we are even matter anymore if we have nothing to fight for? These are the questions we're going to have to start asking and answering. And I don't mean imminently. I mean, like, this is coming in 50, 80 years, and I might be gone by then. But the next generations are going to be asking these questions, whether they're ready for them or not. So what would it look like? Yeah, it would look like probably some sort of self-hosted ownership, but how do you know? How do you know that there's not backdoors into everything that you're self-hosting? How do you know? What does it mean to own? Like, think about like a cyberspace kind of a thing where it's like, this is my domain. Domain is a word that goes back way to, I don't know what, Middle Ages? Whatever. We use that in our technology as a carved out subsection of network traffic. We call that a domain. But, everybody could have their personal domain and they could have all these plugins and tools that did these things. And you wouldn't even interact with the plugins or tools. You would just tell the automated system, like, I want on my domain, by the way, tomorrow, process this overnight while I'm sleeping, but tomorrow I'd like to launch a platform that does video content. I want it to be able to take membership. I want it to have different membership tiers. Let's go with a 1, 3, 5, 10, 25, 50, 100. I'll come up with names, but if you have suggestions and you want to have those ready for me by the morning, that'd be great. I want it to be able to have outreach into other domains. So if you could use that plugin that lets us put our message out into other people's domains so that they can see us and find us, we'll do that. Can you acquire some, music licenses? We want to make sure that we compensate the artists that have made this music and the facility that made that possible. And if you could just synthesize all of that for me and just kind of have a pre-launch package ready by the morning, that'd be great. I'm going to go to sleep. And then it'll say, it's done actually right now if you want to take a look. I don't think we're that far off from there, I was just in another Discord with a friend, and she was pitching this idea where it would be an app, but the only thing the app did was like take your input on what you wanted the app to be, and then it would build itself and do that function for you. I was like, that doesn't sound that far away. I'm going to be honest with you. That's a kind of a neat idea, and it doesn't sound that far away. And I don't know how you control that ethically. I don't know how you do any of this ethically. It's crazy. It looks like my chat froze up again. Chat. What did I miss? Oh, here we go. It isn't too expensive. The private healthcare companies just have almost all fed politicians to pocket. That's another whole thing. Yep. Jarvis, make a social media platform for me, please. Yeah. Your techno-future optimism is inspiring and sweet. Do you know what? It is, because I'm inspiring and sweet. And so I'll take that as the compliment you didn't intend it to be. I think I am an optimist because I don't know what value you get out of the alternative. And if we're all hurtling towards, like the entropy of the universe and the dying star of our sun, as an analogy, and we're like, oh, there's no stopping it. It's like, you know what, though? I think I'm going to try and stop it. That's me. And is it futile and everything like that? Probably. Does it make me feel good about myself? Yeah. That I'm trying. Is that worth it? Self-image and whatever. Maybe I'm coming to this from a place of like, I've gone through hardship recently. And, extendedly. And maybe it's like, you know what? I need something to feel good about myself about. So maybe I'm just using you all to try and feel better about myself. Maybe that's what I'm doing. This is very possible. Just don't worry, I'll bring it up in therapy. It's fine. I don't know. What are we even doing here? Why is my chat not updating? Nothing lasts forever. It's surprisingly easy to forget that as a human. IMO doesn't mean it isn't worth it. Now, that's fascinating because nothing has lasted forever yet. What if we find a way to prevent the heat death of the universe? This is really not going to be our problem, but who knows? Who knows? What if we already have? And then you're in simulation theory, etc. What's the debunking of simulation theory? Is that the fact that we could conceivably make a simulation that the actors within the simulation might not realize they're in a simulation, either means that we are the very first simulation, or I don't remember how it goes. Anyway, it's very fascinating. The idea that it's less likely that we are like the most recent simulation that hasn't also figured out how to make a nested simulation. That it's so much less likely that we are that one on the scope of all the other ones who would be aware that they could make simulations. That something about that, yeah. Wild. Anyway, this is how you turn a stream about platforms like YouTube into existential crises for everyone. Come get your existential crises. They are hot on tap. What else should we talk about? That might be kind of like the bulk of everything I wanted to say today, but I did write down a couple of questions that I wanted to return to. I think I probably answered them. Yeah, okay, so here's the questions that I had logged. How do we build systems that bring out the best in people instead of optimizing around the worst incentives? How can we create a better home for a certain kind of person? And how do we keep whatever is built from having a single point of failure? And we've kind of spun off of all of that so far. I've had fun today. I hope you have too. I don't know. I don't know the reach this VOD is going to have, but I could probably market this and be like, watch London crash out for 2 hours about capitalism and the economy and politicians. I had a good time. I feel like exhausted, like I just did the most important exercise of my life. Off to the hairstylist. Right on. Freshen up, my dude. Get out there and get fresh. So, oh my god, what a rewarding and yet exhausting stream. I had a lot of fun. Glad I tackled this today. We are gonna go visit our friend Himeotsugi. We're gonna make sure that they're not on a break screen because I'm finally learning to pay attention to these things. They are doing some arts and crafts today. They are doing cross stitch. So yeah, I'm gonna go hang out over there in their chat while I decompress. And let me get you your raid message. Which I never write the same way twice. Oh, you know what I should do? I should build that as a command. Ooh. There's your raid message. So with that said, I'm going to go chill out in their stream for a little bit and say hi if you'd be so kind as to drop in, that's always cool. And then you can go on with your rest of your day and evening and everything else that's going along. Oh, it's going to be too late for most people to hear this. Should have said at the beginning. We're going to be playing some Phantasy Star Online tonight in the community. So there's a couple of us that are loading up the old Affinia PSOBB servers, and we're going to play Phantasy Star Online. Min and I played a little bit Thursday night recently, just screwing around and stuff. It was a lot of fun. So it's a classic old game that you just run around and just kill things mindlessly, but it's a good time. We're going to hang out. And with that said, I'm going to hang over to Hime's stream, and I'll see you next time tomorrow on London Station. Love y'all. Have a good time.